The Detroit Pistons have started their season 1-0 after defeating the Orlando Magic in their home opener 103-99. We're going to talk about everything that happened in this game. It was just an exceptionally fun game to watch in today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button at the YouTube channel and leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. I actually said the score incorrectly in the cold open. It was actually 113-109. I had it mixed up a little bit. 103-109 or 103-99. 4-point game. Nonetheless, Pistons win by 4. Open up their season 1-0. They are undefeated this far. Listen, man, this game was it was incredibly fun from both sides. And we're going to obviously talk about the Pistons and talk about everything that happened with Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham, Bojan Bogdanovic. We're obviously going to talk about that. But I just want to talk about just how much fun this was to watch as a basketball fan from both sides. Pistons young team being led by Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey having an electric debut, Jalen Duren having an electric debut. He had himself a really nice game, had himself a poster early in the first half. He had 14 points and 10 rebounds and a few really nice blocks and a few really nice vertical stands on defense around the rim. Just overall a fun game for the Pistons. And over on the Orlando Magic side, you got to see Paolo Banchero send Corey Joseph to the shadow realm. You got to see Franz Wagner go off. You got to see Wendell Carter Jr. Jalen Suggs even popped off. This was just the overall just tremendous fun game to watch from two young teams that will be battling against each other for years and years to come. So I just want to appreciate that for a moment and just shout out just how much fun both these teams gave all of us who watched. So it was just fantastic. I loved watching it. It was tremendous to watch. Just an absolute joy to watch as a basketball fan. Now, moving past that. What about them Pistons, man? Pulled off the win, and Isaiah Stewart hit the dagger after not hitting a three the entire game. By the way, I had a bet for him to hit over 1-3 or at least 1-3, and he did do that. But after not making a three the entire game, in the final seconds, Cade Cunningham drives to the rim, forces help, and trusts Isaiah Stewart to hit the dagger three in the corner, and he absolutely does. LCA was rocking. I'm sure all of you guys who were at opening night felt the roof was about to pop off. What a tremendous play from Cade, a tremendous shot from Isaiah Stewart to shoot that and shoot it confidently after the night that he had from outside. He had an otherwise good game from everywhere else, but outside he was struggling, hit the dagger. Tremendous shot from Isaiah Stewart. But let's go ahead and talk about some individual players. Because if we don't start getting into some specific things, I'm going to just be rattling off about how fun this game was. So, Jaden Ivey, I guess we'll start with Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey is one of the most explosive and electric players in the open court, I think, already in the entire NBA. Now, I don't think we have to wait multiple weeks. I don't think we have to wait multiple years. I think already you can see that he is going to be one of the most electric and explosive players in the open court in transition in the entire NBA. The dude's first step, and we've talked about it so many times in the podcast already, but the dude's first step is out of this world. He just beats people off the dribble just like that. And he doesn't even have to give them a too crazy of a move. He gives them a little bit of an in and out kind of move. He shakes a little bit with that. But outside of that, he really just explodes past you, and he gets all the way to the rim. It's going to be tough for teams to guard him consistently in the open court. I don't see how teams can do it. It's going to be incredibly tough to do so. He had 19 points tonight, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 turnovers. He shot 8 of 15 from the floor, 2 of 4 from deep. I'm actually shocked he only had 1 free throw in this game. But outside maybe not getting to the free throw line enough, I thought he was absolutely fantastic tonight. And if you guys remember on the last podcast, I said Orlando Magic's front court will outplay the Pistons front court. I do think they did. I think the Orlando Magic's front court outplayed the Pistons front court. Paolo Banchero He had 27 points. Franz had 20. Wendell Carter Jr. had 11 and 11. I thought they played really well. Bojan softened that blow a little bit, and we'll talk about him a little bit later. But I said that the Pistons, in order for them to win this game, their backcourt had to outplay their backcourt and had to really outplay the front court, had to offset that matchup. And they didn't score 20 plus. But Cade had 18 points and 10 assists with only 3 turnovers. Now, 3 turnovers, you'd like for him to maybe even get lower than 3 turnovers, but he didn't turn the ball over a lot. And the Pistons as a team only turned the ball over 12 times. I believe in the midway through the fourth quarter, they only had 8 turnovers. So I thought the Pistons guards, Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham, they played absolutely fantastic. They really swung this game. I know Bojan had a tremendous game. And again, we are going to talk about him soon. But I think this game definitely comes down to Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey. Cade Cunningham was able to draw. What's going on? My stats aren't loading here. He was able to draw 4 free throws in this game. As he started to get downhill in the second half, he started to play a lot better. You guys remember I've said over and over, Cade should not be taking a ton of threes. He should not be relying on the 3 ball. He needs to be getting downhill, playing strong, getting to the basket, drawing fouls. And once he started doing that in the second half, the whole game flipped. He took over the game. 10 assists. He consistently found the open player over and over and over. He could have even had more than 10 assists. I thought what Cade played tonight, obviously you'd like to see him be more efficient. That's something he's going to have to work on throughout the year. But I thought he did a great job of getting everybody involved, picking his spots, picking up his teammates, controlling the tempo of the game. I thought Cade and Jaden Ivey really swung this game, man. I thought they played absolutely fantastic. I think Pistons fans should be absolutely ecstatic for this backcourt of the future. You got a glimpse of it already in game 1. The Pistons started off down 10-plus points in the first quarter. The bench came in, righted the ship a little bit, and then the starters took over and was really led by Cade and Jaden. So I loved that. I loved seeing that they were going to have to do it for the Orlando Magic to take the L in this game, and they absolutely did. Absolutely did. We're going to talk about the rest of these players, no doubt. Be ready. We're going to talk about everything that happened in this game. I'm ecstatic, man. I have so much energy. I'm so happy Pistons basketball is back. This was a lot of fun, man. Just be able to sit out there on my couch and watch the Pistons again in a meaningful game, a game that actually means something, was just so much fun, man. It feels like it's been too long since it's been Pistons basketball. What has it been, like 6 months now? It's been too long, dude. So it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys all enjoyed it as well, especially those of you who got to go to opening night. I wish I got to go. My wife is feeling really sick, so I couldn't go. We plan on going to the opening of the first game, I should say, for the Teal game. I believe that's against the Atlanta Hawks. We plan on being at that game, so I'll see you guys there. Hopefully meet up with some of you guys. But I hope you guys all enjoyed going to opening night. The Pistons get this dub, 113-109. When we come back, Bojan Bogdanovic went off, led the Pistons in scoring, provided the outside shooting that this team desperately needs. What should you take away from his first game in the Pistons uniform? We'll talk about that when we come back. But first, I have to tell you guys about one of our sponsors, BetOnline.net. BetOnline.net is your number one source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every single game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport that's out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, golf, tennis, and like I said, NBA and NFL. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about their trends in action today. And if you head over there, you go to the basketball section, you can see that you can bet on who wins the championship, most improved, MVP, sixth man of the year, coach of the year, all that stuff over there at betonline.net. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about their trends in action today. BetOnline, where the game starts. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. The Pistons get this 113-109 win versus the Orlando Magic, and they were led by Bojan Bogdanovic, who had 24 points, 8 of 16 shooting from the field, 6 of 10 from deep, and 2 of 2 from the free throw line. He also had 5 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal. I thought Bojan played a tremendous game. And what Bojan brought to the Pistons in this game, and what he's done throughout his whole career, but what the Pistons finally have in Bojan is something that I've said the Pistons have needed for an extremely long time. Now, I already saw some Pistons fans. I already saw some of you guys tweeting at me saying, is Bojan more valuable than Jeremy? I don't know if you can answer that yet because Jeremy did bring a two-way impact to the game. And I think eventually you're going to start to see that Bojan starts to hurt them a little bit defensively. Especially, I thought you saw that already a little bit earlier in the game when Orlando was really using their physicality and size to punish the Pistons. But there's definitely a legit argument that the kind of shooting that Bojan brings off screens, off the dribble, quick release, letting it go like that, the way he can shoot the ball and the different ways that he can shoot the ball, how much the Pistons have been missing that, how much of that has been a need for the Pistons, there is a legit argument that he could be more valuable than Jeremy Grant to this team than Jeremy ever was at any point in his career with the Pistons, his 2 seasons here. So I think Bojan, I honestly, I feel like we maybe didn't talk about Bojan enough before the season. I feel like we maybe didn't talk about how much of an impact he could have enough on the podcast. And I think it was because through preseason, he wasn't really taking it serious. I feel like a lot of these guys coasted through preseason, and I think a lot of it's backed up in tonight's game. Cade played a really good game. Bojan played a really nice game. Stu played a really nice game. Duren played a really nice game. I think they all showed up in ways that they did not show up in the preseason. But even more so Bojan. And I feel like we probably should have talked about that a little bit more. I should have expected him to come out in regular season and play like he's always played in his career. This dude's an 18-point-per-game scorer. He wasn't about to come out here and just play laid back, whatever. And he was talking trash at the free throw line at the end of the game. When he was icing the game with his free throws, he was talking trash to, I believe, Paolo Banchero after each make. I love that. Go ahead and get him some buffs for talking trash like that. You got to give him some buffs for that. But yeah, I thought Bojan was tremendous for the Pistons, man. Outside the beginning of the game where I feel like they really took advantage of it on defense, I don't feel like they really, and maybe it was because they didn't force it as much as they were earlier in the game. I think that maybe was a mistake on the Magic's end. But they didn't really try as much to take advantage of Bojan defensively, and he was able to just destroy them offensively. He just feasted tonight, whether it was pull-up threes, off-screen threes, catch-and-shoot threes, literally name whatever three you want. He was taking them tonight. He was blowing them out. And he definitely, along with Cade and Jaden, were one of the biggest reasons. And maybe you could maybe even say Bojan's shooting was probably the biggest reason why they won this game. Because when the Pistons were struggling and were able to score, and I don't think they hit a three for the longest time in the first half, in the first quarter at least. They weren't able to hit an outside shot. And Bojan completely flipped that script. If it wasn't for him, he hit 6 of the Pistons' 14 threes. If you take away his shot attempts and his threes, the Pistons shoot, 8 of 28 from deep. That's awful. Bojan helped them, and really is the main reason why they shot 37% as a team. That kind of impact is tremendous. So you could make an argument that he was probably the biggest reason, but I think you can go ahead and just give the even share to Jaden Ivey, Cade, and Bojan. I absolutely loved when I saw from those three tonight. I think this was great. Let's move on to someone else now. Jalen Duren. Listen, I'll admit I was wrong. I usually am a guy who and you guys know this, for those of you guys who listen to the podcast, I don't like to freak out over small sample sizes. I like to look at the larger sample size. I'm not going to retract one of my statements after a simple, a small game sample size, 1 game, 2 game, 3 games. I'm not going to do that. I like looking at larger game sample sizes. But Jalen Duren looks like he should be playing immediately, even when Nerlens Noel gets healthy. I know Dwayne Casey said he was a 911 emergency for Nerlens Noel to play, like someone would have had to get hurt, whatever, to force him into action. But even when he's fully healthy, Jalen Duren has to play. When Marvin Bagley gets back, Jalen Duren has to play. His first NBA game as the youngest player in the entire NBA. 14 points, 10 rebounds, 7 of 13 from the field. He had 3 blocks, and even more than those 3 blocks, he had multiple, I tell you, great rim protection plays throughout the night. Either going vertical and forcing him to go over him, or simply contesting the shot and forcing an air ball, forcing a tough miss. Like, he was everywhere tonight. Absolutely everywhere. And you could see, he actually led the team in plus minus. He was +7 in his 22 minutes of action. And you could tell, not only with Cade and Jaden Ivey, but even Killian threw him an alley-oop, that when they saw him rolling to the basket, all of their eyes lit up. Everyone's eyes lit up because they knew we had a guy who could put pressure on this rim, who can go up and catch this. And he actually missed an alley-oop. I thought this was about to be a top 10 highlight. They got a steal. Cade threw it over the rim to Jalen Duren. He went to slam it down with one hand, and he missed it. That would have been an absolute crazy highlight. But Jalen Duren was just Jalen Duren was fantastic, man. Seriously fantastic. For a dude to be the youngest player in the NBA, and in his first game, have 14 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists, or 3 blocks, and play as well as he did on both ends, and be as active as he was on both ends. That was incredibly impressive, man. Like, incredibly impressive. Now, he missed all of his free throw attempts. That's something that can't keep happening. He's 0-4 from the free throw line. I feel like Pistons fans for the past 30 years have had to deal with big men that they really like. Big men that they really like, and really good big men just not being able to hit free throws. I hope Jalen Duren isn't one of those and he ends up improving in that area. But outside of that, man, I thought he played a tremendous game. It was an incredible debut for the Pistons rookies. Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren showed up and showed out, and were mega reasons why the Pistons won. Big reasons why the Pistons were able to pull this game out. And Jalen Duren actually played the most minutes off the bench of any player for the Pistons, over Killian Hayes, over Corey Joseph, or over Hamidou Diallo, Kevin Knox, who got 13 minutes. We'll talk about his disappointing debut with the Pistons later. But yeah, Jalen Duren was fantastic, guys. Fantastic. If he can do that consistently, he doesn't have to have a double-double consistently, but have to do the same kind of things and provide the same kind of impact over and over. I'll tell you this much. 1, he's going to continue to be in the rotation. And 2, he's going to be the Pistons starter sooner rather than later. Like, I'm talking about maybe at the trade deadline when the Pistons trade Bojan for a first-round pick or something. They move Stu down to the 4 and start Jalen Duren at the 5. If he's able to do stuff like this. Now, that's me overreacting to a small game or a small sample size. That's me maybe getting ahead of myself. But I'm just saying, if he's able to do that consistently game to game, again, not double-double every game, but be able to protect the rim, play hard on the offensive glass, and provide rim pressure, and continue to dunk everything he possibly can, and catch alley-oops and all that. Set good screens, too, I thought. He set nice screens. If he's able to do that game to game, he's going to be starting sooner than people maybe thought. Sooner than people like me thought. And he's definitely going to be getting minutes consistently. So, tremendous debut from him and Jaden Ivey. Extremely fun game from them, man. When we come back now, actually, you know what? Let me tag this in real quick, because in the final segment, I want to talk about some things that maybe we would have liked to see play better, and things we, things we would have liked to see a little bit differently. But Isaiah Stewart, I thought Isaiah Stewart played a really nice game as well. He shot 7 of 8 from the free throw line. He drew a lot of free throws, a lot of fouls. He hit his free throws. He had 5 rebounds. I thought he did a nice job protecting the rim. He didn't end the game with any blocks, but I thought he went vertical a lot and was forcing a lot of tough layups around the rim. I know Jalen Suggs kind of went psycho there for a second. He put him into the dirt on a layup and then just took that and rode it into hitting 7 threes against the Pistons. It was crazy what Jalen Suggs did. But I thought Stu played a nice game. I don't think he was fantastic, but I thought he played a nice, consistent game. He shot 1 of 4 from deep, but the 1 3 he made obviously was the big one to dagger the game for the Pistons. I thought he played a fine game. I thought he could be happy with that game. He would probably like to see more of his threes go down, but really, I thought he played a nice game. His only misses were from beyond the arc, but you want him to continue shooting, want him to continue to be confident, and be ready to hit shots like he did at the end of the game to dagger for the Pistons win. Yeah, I liked what I saw from Stu. But when we come back now, we're going to talk about some things that maybe we would like to see play out differently, some guys that need to play better. Going to talk about that when we come back. But first, you guys got to hear from some of our lovely sponsors. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons, hit that subscribe button, or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you are listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. All right, so we've talked glowingly about the Pistons and everything that happened and how fun this game was throughout the first 2 segments. But now in this third segment, we got to try to criticize, or maybe not criticize, but constructive criticism, and talk about some things that need to change, and some players that need to play better, and some just overall things to get better at as a team. So Saddiq Bey shot 2 of 5 from the floor. He only got 5 shots up, which is kind of shocking to me. I think that right there is going to be something to watch throughout the season. And I've said this on multiple podcasts leading up to this game. There's no way the Pistons are going to be able to find ways to get Cade, Jaden, Bojan, and Saddiq all the ball in their hands consistently throughout the season. Now, I think you need to watch to see how do they use Sadiq now throughout the season. Does he get relegated a little bit into that more of a 3-and-D role? Does he buy in more defensively and start to slide into that 3-and-D mold? Do they ask him to do more of that? Or is it more of like a game-to-game basis? Some games he's going to have the ball in his hands and take more shots and operate the ball in his hands more than Jaden Ivey or Bojan. And then some games he's just not going to. Or is this how the Pistons want to play? They want to run through Cade and Jaden Ivey. Bojan's going to hit outside shots. And Sadiq is going to hit outside shots. And when he gets the chance of a winding down shot clock, he can go do his thing. Is that how they want to use Sadiq now? That's something I think we should all be watching for. That's not even really a criticism. It's just something that you need to monitor. How are they going to use Sadiq Bey this season with Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham operating and controlling the ball like they do, and also with the veteran Bojan, who's just a better shooter and a better player right now than Sadiq? How are you going to use Sadiq in this half court? And I think the half court, they still struggled tonight too. We'll segue into that. The half court they did not play very well in. They absolutely destroyed the Magic in transition, though. In fast break and transition, they completely destroyed them. And that's where they got to play. They got to play fast. That's where the Pistons are going to make their money. That's where the Pistons are going to continue to be competitive. That's how they're going to stay competitive with teams. Half court, they're going to struggle. But fast break, transition play, semi-transition, just playing fast, they played really well. And I think a lot of that has to do with Jaden Ivey, obviously. But really, the rest of the team, I thought, also played a little bit faster, too. And maybe that's because of Jaden Ivey. Maybe he kind of injected them with that energy to let's play fast, and not everyone else is following his lead. But that was nice to see how they played in transition. But, yeah, just monitor how they're going to continue to use Sadiq, not about him making or missing shots. Just I want to see how they use him moving forward. Is this, like, more par for the normal now, or is this just a rare occurrence that we see? Anyways, moving on to the next player I want to talk about, Kevin Knox. Remember, I talked about how I thought Kevin Knox should get some minutes, at least a chance to crack the rotation in this first game. He did. He played 13 minutes, but he played putrid. He shot 1 of 8 from the field, 1 of 6 from deep. Listen, it's as simple as it was with Kevin Knox, and I've told you guys this multiple times. If he's hitting shots, he has to play because he's 6'7" with long arms and athletic, and he can hit outside shots. He has to play. If he's not hitting outside shots, can't play. So it sucks for him, man, because I really feel like there's a player in him because of his size and athleticism and his ability to hit outside shots. But I hope he gets another chance because I want to root for the guy. I don't want him to be out the league. I want to root for the guy. Hope he gets another chance, and hope he hits more outside shots. But if he doesn't get another chance, I could see that coming because he has to hit outside shots, man. You have to. That's the only way he's going to stay on the floor. And it just seems like he hasn't been able to be consistent with that throughout his career. So if he does get another chance, hopefully he comes out and he hits more outside shots. A lot of his shots were open, too. I thought he was going to have a really big game because the Magic were leaving him open. He had a lot of good looks. So if he does get another chance, hopefully he hits outside shots, but definitely a disappointing debut for him. I know he would have liked this to play out differently. I feel bad for him, to be honest, because I don't know if he's going to get another chance after this. But if he does, got to hit outside shots, man. You're just not going to play. And then obviously to end the podcast off, you guys know I'm going to talk about him. Killian Hayes, he shot 1 of 9 from the floor. Listen, you guys know I love Killian, and you guys know that I'm a big believer in Killian, and it's one game. I'm still a big believer in Killian. I've told you guys that this is going to be an up and down thing. His aggressiveness isn't always going to lead to an efficient night, to a big scoring night. He's going to have bad nights, and tonight was a bad night. So I'm not nowhere near am I saying that people should be freaking out about this. But is it simple as this? I'm going to keep it objective with you guys. I'm going to keep it a buck with you guys. While I do believe in Killian, I really like Killian, this is his year. And I'm not going to be blindly stupid. If he can't hit shots this year, it's time to move on. He has to hit shots this year. It just is what it is. It must more than one game, obviously. I believe he's going to. I believe he eventually will. But every night, we're not, at least me, I'm not going to do this. Every night, I'm not going to come on here, or every game that he struggles shooting-wise, I'm not going to come on here and say, oh, he played great defense. He made some really nice passes. He made some really nice plays. He just wasn't hitting shots, but he impacted the game. Reason for it, because we know he can do that. We know he can play defense. We know he can make really nice passes. By the way, his block on Mo Bamba was crazy, though. I will give him credit for that. But we already know he can do all this other stuff. We know that the thing that he has to improve on to stay in the Pistons and really maybe stay in the league as an impactful player for a long time is hit shots. So I'm going to be holding him to that standard. I'm not going to come on here and talk about his defense, his passing, and all that, unless he's also hitting shots. So tonight, I thought he had a bad game. He really played a bad game, in my opinion. He was a +6 on the floor. He did have 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and a block. He had some impactful plays, but at the end of the day, if Killian's not going to hit outside shots, if he's not going to hit any shots, it's going to be tough for him. It's going to be tough. He has to hit shots. So it is what it is. Hopefully next game, I see him continue to take 8, 9 shots a game. I want to see that. But hopefully next game, he hits like 4 or 5 of them. You have to see it. He has to hit some shots, dude. He just has to. Simple as that. Point blank. If he doesn't, it's going to be a tough season for him. But overall, this was an absolutely fun game for the Pistons. Great game to open the season with. Great way for them to respond after going down early by a ton. Responding, getting punched in the mouth and getting back up and eventually pulling this game out. And especially when Orlando tried to make that run at the end of the game to try to win the game. They cut it to like 1 point, 2 points. For the Pistons to stay composed, for Cade to stay poised and find his open teammate and find a way to win this game out late. Great stuff to see. And with how bad their schedule is, the first 10 games, how tough it's going to be, they have to win games like this, and they did. So I love it. It was a fun game to watch. I hope all you guys enjoyed it, really. It was just a fun game from a basketball fan perspective. And the Pistons are 1-0. First time winning an opener in 4 years, man. Let's freaking go. Good win, Pistons. Go Pistons, man. That was just a fun game, dude. But that's all I've got for you guys today, man. Hope you guys enjoyed opening night, all of you guys that were there. Hopefully it was an absolutely electric crowd. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Hit that subscribe on the YouTube channel. Hit that 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's all I've got for you guys today. Until the next podcast, stay safe, everybody. Go Pistons, and peace out. Stay safe.